All right, welcome back. I hope you're having an awesome time so far. Our next speaker is Amin Tora. He's a distinguished engineer at ARAMCO. Please join me in welcoming him to our virtual stage.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amin Tora, and I'm an engineer here at Saudi Aramco. And today I'll be talking to you about leveraging active defense for artificial intelligence and machine learning-based cybersecurity operations. So before I begin, let's do a quick disclaimer that any comments and views expressed here are my own and not that of my employer. So this talk is mainly about active defense. And before we start discussing some of those topics or the ideas around active defense, I wanted to cover a little bit about AI/ML-based cyber operations and what we're dealing with in the general realm of cybersecurity. So as you know, there are knowns and unknowns within the cybersecurity space where we're always trying to detect malicious adversaries and detect whether they're doing reconnaissance or attacks or surveillance or any kind of any other activities that might be ongoing within the network, within hosts, within applications, whether internally or externally. Now, in order to detect these, for the most part, in the last few decades, we've heavily relied on signatures and things that we have knowledge of. And within the space of knowns, we have the known space where we have understanding of things or we have awareness of things. And when we have both understanding and awareness of these things, we call these known knowns. Now, within the green space that you see here, the unknown knowns, in this space, it's that you usually have understanding of what's going on here, about the adversaries, but you may not have full situational awareness. So within this space, you would need to increase situational awareness, increase capabilities, and improve operationally. Now, within the awareness space of the known knowns, you may be aware of some things going on, but you may not have full capabilities. You may not have full understanding of what's going on. And when you bring these two spaces together where you have understanding and awareness, you can have a competent cybersecurity team where you're defending against adversaries with a good security stack. You're capable and you're operationally fit to provide competent or enough defense against the adversaries. But again, this is still traditional in the sense that we're relying on past knowledge and things that we know about. Now, adversaries are always changing and they're changing their tactics, tools. There's vulnerabilities that we may not know of, and there might be, and attackers can utilize that and leverage that to create exploits and zero-day exploits to gain access or compromise your systems. Now, within this space, in order to find any of these types of activities, we would need an AI/ML based system where you would detect changes in behavior, changes in different types, such as patterns, changes in repetition, and amount of data, volumes, cycles, things like this, where AI/ML will help you find these anomalies. And within that, we could use classification, regression, deep learning, and some other approaches for that. Now, in the traditional sense, cyber operations have always been more of reactive than proactive, where we had incidents, investigations, and post-incident response. And we've built that around threat intelligence analysis, where we have cyber threat intelligence, intelligence synthesis, campaign tracking, and we have traditional defense analysis where we analyze events, we rely on our security stack from the known space, and some rule-based security and we have some forensics and reverse engineering and some red teaming to help out. We've augmented that with threat hunting, where we come up with hypotheses. We look at intelligence. We do some assessments, go out and do some threat hunting, and do any kind of response when we find things. And we're using instant response platforms with playbooks and use cases. Now, what is needed to detect anomalies is to use AI/ML, artificial intelligence, and machine learning around network activities, host activities, applications, server level activities where you have processes and many other things that are going on across the network. For this, you need to have a strong AI/ML based DevOps team where they're looking at use cases, they're looking at data that's being collected from around the environment, and they're able to build AI/ML models utilizing a platform to actually detect these anomalies. And once these anomalies are detected, you need a team that understands AI/ML based approach of anomalies and using threat hunting to go out there and use the results of these AI/ML based solutions to go out there and perform threat hunting and prioritize based on the output of these AI/ML based models. And you need to integrate this with the existing security stack. You need to integrate it operationally, and of course, you would need a competent cybersecurity team with full in-depth analysis capabilities. Now, the additional thing that you can do is have more of an active defense where your entire cybersecurity operations moves more towards an active and proactive approach rather than a reactive approach, which has been the case for the past few decades. With active defense, you're actually trying to deceive the adversary. You're trying to utilize systems, network-based solutions, host-based solutions, applications, in order to deceive the adversary into thinking that they have actually compromised your systems, or they're able to take data or do successful surveillance at different stages, of course, different levels. And at the same time, you're trying to actively engage the adversary. So when you do detect them, you actually try to engage them. You may some organizations may have the capability or the legal cover to go ahead and perform more proactive and offensive operations. But for the most part, it's more of an active defense for most organizations out there. Now, with the combination of this, along with the AI/ML approach and a competent cybersecurity team, you can actively increase your overall cybersecurity posture and reduce as far as your in the sense of vulnerabilities out there. Now, MITRE has put out a MITRE Shield project that they have, and they're actively working and they've utilized about 10 years worth of information and engaging with adversaries to build and start utilizing this approach. And of course, you can and that's being correlated as well with MITRE attack framework, which you may be familiar with. But those are the links there that you can go and look at that. So overall, with active defense, we're looking at having a more proactive engagement. So with active defense, mainly you'll have some kind of deception solution. And as far as deception solutions, they can be network-based, they can be external to your environment, they can be internal in the environment, so you can deploy them multiple solutions. There's open source solutions, there's commercial solutions, or you can develop your own internal solutions. And with deception, you're making the adversary think that there are things on the network when they're not, or there are things that are vulnerable when they're not, or make them think that you've actually, or the adversary is capable of gathering data of or exploiting different processes on your system, or bypass some security mechanisms that you may have, whether it's network-based, endpoint-based, and all of this. Now, with concealment, it's more about hiding what's on the network, hiding what's on a system, hiding the data, and that could involve encryption as well as moving data across different memory spaces, moving data across physically across systems, across storage spaces, even moving systems across different networks, and actually just move entire servers across over to different areas. And this is all part of concealment, and there's many approaches to this, but you can read more about that. Now, the idea is once you have a good deception and concealment strategy, you can start looking at data that you're able to collect when adversaries are poking around, or they think that they've gained access to your systems. So once you have this data, you can start setting up an automated system where you start parsing information, you normalize the data sets, and you start doing some data exploration around that, and you collect features that are useful in what you deem or design, or your AI/ML DevOps team would design to build models, and they would build, train, or use that data sets to retrain existing models as well. And once you have that, you can actually, and if you have a good AI/ML based solution out there, you can actually start doing some predictions and detecting even more anomalies where the adversary may be in other parts of your network where you may not have detected them. At the same time, this level of intelligence and information can be propagated from the models themselves across other networks, along with peers and things like this. So, we may go into in the next few decades, maybe start sharing AI/ML based features and different models, in addition to just IOC sharing, or what we do as part of intelligence collection nowadays. So once you have the predictions, you build anomalies, the active team can start doing active response. So the cybersecurity operations can perform active analysis, not just regular, but active and active response, and feed that back into configuration of systems, configuration of deception concealment solutions, improving automation, and also in the programming and development environment where you're rebuilding and reanalyzing data sets, and parsing differently, looking at other features, vectorizing them, building models, and retraining them. So overall, I mean, this would be the approach that you would use in an active defense. So in a setup like this, you would need a strong AI/ML based DevOps team where you have some infrastructure support, where you have sysadmins and individuals that are able to design and support systems and compute platforms that can handle the data sets and the models, where the models are running and you're gathering all this data. You need data engineers, of course, that can integrate the data sets and perform data exploration, feature selection, feature extraction. You need data scientists, of course, to develop the models, deploy them, maintain the models, and perform other research activities. And you need some level of operational analysts, where this team is the bridge between the AI/ML team and the overall cybersecurity operations team. So once you have this and you're able to deploy active defense measures against adversaries, we start moving and changing over to active defense analysis, active intelligence gathering, and being able to provide active deception, concealment, and countermeasures, and engaging the adversaries and detecting them prior to them being able to actually compromise our systems. And within that, our threat hunters also move more towards proactive threat hunting with better predictions based on the AI ML based models. So what you're actually doing is better threat hunting, more prioritized. You start learning and analyzing active patterns and behaviors, and feed that into more, better automation, visual analysis, and then continue using, IRPs and all that. So overall, when you have a setup like this, you would be able to more proactively defend your systems and environments and actively engage adversaries more quickly than normal. So overall, when we put together an AIML DevOps team, you need to continue utilizing use cases and match the changing adversary threats and tactics. You can use intelligence from active defense, including the deception and concealment approaches, to automate and also to automate model development, testing, redeployment, and of course, leverage the red team, purple teams for some validation, and pretty much cover full model life cycles. Um, and then we could we can operationalize cyber AI ML based overall operationalized cybersecurity that's based on AI ML, and just focus that, have a focused threat hunting team. The team would also have to make sure that they're aware of how that what anomalies are, and to utilize more probability statistics based approach. Have an integrated security stack as far as all of these solutions being able to integrate with your overall security stack from the endpoints all the way out to the perimeter, and leveraging automation with EDR and IRP, and continuously improve situational awareness, knowledge, and capabilities. So overall, we're moving towards more from having a reactive based cybersecurity approach more towards proactive, and now more in a sense of having the models detect the anomalies and have more of a predictive approach towards that, towards defending the company and your organization against threat actors. So overall, that's my short talk on this. There's a lot of things to cover, which I really gleaned over to have a short amount of time. But thank you for attending the talk. And if you have any further questions, you can go ahead and address them to me. And feel free to reach out to me over LinkedIn as well. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If you could go ahead and stop sharing your screen so we can give you a big virtual round of applause.
Okay,
Thank you for sharing your insights with us. All right, if you're looking for your next session, you can go ahead and check out your agenda page to see where you're going next, or take some time to connect with your peers through some virtual networking. Thanks so much, and we'll see you around.